Welcome back to Designed for More. Today's episode is for the manifestors, the ones who came here to start things, and not just any things, new things, bold things, things that might not make sense to anyone else at first, but that shift everything when they're in motion. And it's not because anyone asked them to, but because their inner call arrived and said, now. You're not here to wait around for signs. You're not wired to respond to everyone else's ideas. You're not here to prove anything. And you're definitely not built to ask for permission. What you are here for is to initiate. You're here to begin things, to feel the pull of the creative urge rising from within and then follow it, to set energy in motion and trust that those meant to join you will catch your current. You're literally the creative pulse of the universe in motion. And when you're aligned, your presence alone moves energy. It can change the room, create momentum. It sets things in motion before the words ever come. This role isn't always obvious, and honestly, it's probably not always comfortable because the world hasn't made a lot of room for this kind of energy. Most manifestors haven't been supported in learning how your unique energy actually works or even how powerful your energy truly is. Most manifestors that I meet have been conditioned to play smaller, softer, safer, to avoid conflict, or to explain themselves or to manage people's reactions, and that kind of conditioning shows up fast, especially for manifestor children. Kids who are told you're too much or don't be so bossy or you can't just do whatever you want. So many manifestors learn early on that if they move from their instinct, they'll be met with resistance, and so they adapt. They people please, they hold back, and they become more predictable, more palatable, more manageable, eventually disappearing into spaces that were never meant to contain them. And that sometimes works for a while, but the body never forgets. The fire that you hold doesn't go out. It just kind of goes quiet until you remember to listen again. But that conditioning also runs deep because when a manifestor tries to make everyone else comfortable, they lose the one thing that makes their energy magnetic. And that's freedom. When you're not initiating, when you're not following that inner fire, something starts to shut down. Your body tenses, you feel held back and frustrated, angry, misunderstood. And that's the signal. That's your system telling you that you're out of alignment. For manifestors, the feeling of alignment is peace. And peace isn't something you earn. It's not a reward for getting things right. It's what you feel when you're moving from your own truth, when you're not being held back or boxed in or managed. Your creative energy can just move the way it wants to. And peace also isn't passive. It's just power without the resistance. It's like the exhale after the initiation or the calm after the surge or the feeling of being exactly where you're meant to be. And when you're in that current, initiating what's true for you without apology and without delay, something shifts. And it's not just in your life, but it's all around you. So let's seek to really understand your power manifestor. And to do that, we need to look at how your energy moves. First, I want to name that manifestor energy is pretty rare. It's about 8% of the population. And manifestor energy, that rare kind of unique energy, moves in waves. You'll feel an urge rising from deep within. And if it's true for you, it will come with the energy to act. That's the surge. The urge says, this is mine to start. And then there's a surge that says, and here's the power to begin. And when those two things come together, you'll feel it. It's go time. It's the moment to move, to send the email, start the conversation, launch the thing, walk away, or begin again. And it can happen fast. And you'll know it's true when it doesn't come from the mind, when there's no backstory, no narrative, no perfect words to describe it, no guaranteed outcome, and especially when it's not reversed engineered from someone else's success. It definitely doesn't sound like, well, I want X and so did Y, so I should do what they did and that will guarantee the outcome. No. It comes from somewhere much deeper. It'll rise from your body, deeper and truer. It'll feel like a creative force that just moves through you, not from logic or strategy. And that's why the energy, or the surge I call it, comes with the urge. It is literally the universe expressing itself through you, Manifestor. And that is the Manifestor magic. If the urge is there, but the energy isn't, well, that's just an idea. Probably something you have a lot of, but something just to hold lightly, maybe for later, maybe not at all. But when it's real, you'll feel it in your bones. And after this process of the urge followed and paired with the surge, comes another part of your wave. And that's rest. That's part of your wave too. It's your natural rhythm, Manifestor. It's not a flaw. It's not to be bypassed. That pause is sacred. It's where your next urge gets time to form. So trying to push through that rest cycle because others expect you to be on all the time is what leads to burnout or rage or even both. You might shut down and feel that signature and misalignment emotion for manifestors, which is anger. And I want to say this clearly. Your anger is not wrong. Your anger is sacred. It tells you when something's off, when you're compromising your truth, when your boundaries have been crossed. It's there to show you where you've been suppressed or where you've abandoned your own inner knowing, to keep the peace instead of being the peace or of feeling the peace. So don't shut it down. Don't ignore it. Listen to your anger. Let it move through you. Scream into a pillow. Shake it out. Speak the thing you've been holding in. Let the anger point you back to what's true. And from that place, begin again. Now, before we go any further, I want to name something that gets a lot of misunderstanding in the human design space, in my opinion. And that's your aura. I think it deserves a reframe. Manifestors are said to have a repelling aura, but I want to offer another way of looking at it. I don't think your aura is repelling in the way people might think. It's not cold or unkind. It's just simply closed and impactful. It's protective, sovereign, directed. It doesn't reach out to pull people in. It doesn't envelop people like the generator aura or penetrate like the projector aura. It moves forward with purpose, and people feel that. So what people sometimes call repelling, I think is simply an energetic boundary of someone who isn't wired to be available to everyone. You're not here to be open and accessible all the time. You're here to move with clarity and conviction. And your aura supports that by saying, I'm going this way, and not everyone is meant to come with me. That's part of your design. When you're informed and aligned, your aura becomes a beacon. It clears the path. On the way, it might disrupt or confront, but it also initiates. It invites only what's correct into your field and protects you from what isn't. So let's stop calling it repelling like it's a problem. Your aura, Manifestor, is discerning, directed, decisive. It's not here to bend or beg. It's here to begin. So there's one more thing I want to name, especially for manifestors who grew up feeling misunderstood. Like we just talked about, your aura is closed, protective, powerful. It doesn't pull others in. It moves forward to begin. And that is such a gift and a service for this world. But it can sometimes also cause confusion for manifestors, especially in childhood, because what can happen to manifestor children who are not taught about their aura and who are only 8%, remember, who are literally designed in such a unique way, but parented in the same ways that we parent all children. And that can create a real sense of emotional distance. The generator mother who wants to envelop you in her warmth, or the projector parent who longs to connect and guide you, They may have tried so hard to love you, and yet you may not have felt it. Not because you weren't loved or you can't receive, but because your design creates a natural space between you and others. Manifestors are very loved, but often misunderstood. Seen, but not always felt respected. Sometimes maybe even resented. And without naming that, you might carry shame, wondering why closeness has always felt, distant, the opposite, or why people react so strongly to your energy. But you're not cold. You're not disconnected. Your energy simply protects your path. And if your aura is that boundary that protects your direction, well, then your throat is how that direction becomes reality. All manifestors have a defined throat. It's what makes you a manifestor in the first place, because this is where your initiating power lives. Your voice is how your energy enters the world. And when you're aligned, your words don't just communicate. They move things. They create momentum and they trigger change. They can set new timelines in motion. Your throat is the manifestation channel that literally brings the formless into form. But here's like a little nuance. You don't need others to say yes before you act, but you do need to inform. Now, informing isn't about asking for permission or getting approval or explaining your every move. It's about claiming your direction and communicating your movement so that the path forward is cleaner. It's like creating space around you, space for safety, for support, and importantly, for less resistance. It's about saying, hey, here's what I'm doing. You don't need to agree, but I want you to know. Because informing protects your peace. It helps the people around you to stop guessing and start respecting your process. And it also creates clarity. It lets the people in your life know what's coming, so they don't try to block it or control it out of confusion or fear. Also, it lets the right people gather around you. You're here to initiate, but not to sustain. It's part of your design. You don't need to carry the whole thing alone. So when you inform, you create the conditions for others to respond to your vision while keeping your autonomy intact. Projectors can see how to guide it. Generators and manifesting generators can bring the sustainable energy to build it. And informing invites collaboration without compromising your independence. Not everyone will get it. Not everyone will say yes. And that is okay, because your job isn't to convince, it's just to begin. And while informing might feel like a burden, it's meant to be a clearing. It might feel unnatural at first, especially if you've learned that your voice caused problems or that informing is honestly a bit of a pain in the ass. But over time, informing becomes one of the most powerful tools you have for sustaining peace, because it allows your energy to move forward without resistance dragging behind it. But informing is actually also just the beginning, because reclaiming your voice goes even deeper. If you're a manifestor, there's a good chance that you were taught somewhere along the way that your voice was too much, too strong, too blunt, too disruptive. So maybe you stopped speaking your vision aloud. Maybe you learned to water it down or keep it to yourself, unless it was perfectly packaged. You might have felt misunderstood for most of your life. And I can only imagine that there's real grief in that. But there's also incredible power in reclaiming your voice, because your voice is your power. Not because it needs to convince anyone, but because it initiates. It sets things in motion. It's a channel for the universe to become formless into form. My goodness, what a power. And when you declare what you see, what you know, what you're here to start, you become magnetic to the people who are meant to come with you. You don't need to be understood before you move. You don't need to see the whole map before you take the first step. And you don't need to speak your vision with a smile on your face to make it easier for others to digest. Because you're not here to be agreeable. You're here to initiate. And your vision doesn't have to look like anyone else's. In fact, it's not supposed to. It also doesn't have to be revolutionary in scale to be radical in impact. Sometimes reclaiming your voice means saying, this is the business I want to build. This is the course I want to take. This is the way I want to raise my children. This is the project I want to start, even if no one gets it yet. Maybe it's, this is the way I want to honor the dying process. This is the way I want to feed myself and grow my food. This is the way I believe our children should learn. This is the peaceful revolution that I see. And when you speak it clearly, calmly, and unapologetically, you claim your direction and your energy moves with you. So if you've been holding your voice back or shrinking your vision to make others more comfortable or waiting for someone to invite you to speak, then please let this be your permission slip to reclaim your voice. And from that place, initiate this world because you came here to create. You are not just here to speak your vision. You're here to start something the world didn't even know it needed. And we need that. We need you. Which brings us to the revolution that you're here to lead. Let's back up a little bit first. I think it's pretty cool to know that manifestors were designed many years ago to once be the kings and queens of the world. And I mean literally. Yes, okay, we're all kings and queens, but the literal kings and queens who issued decrees and others followed, the ones who moved first and the world adjusted, those were manifestors. Yes, the structure of society has obviously changed since then. The throne is gone. The crown doesn't arrive at birth anymore in most cases. And actually, maybe it does figuratively, but you know what I mean. But many manifestors still feel the ache of that shift, even if they've never had words for it. It can feel like something sacred was lost, even if no one ever told you that it was yours to begin with. There's like this sense of I'm supposed to lead something, but I don't know where I fit. And that can feel like confusion, but it's actually memory because you were designed to go first, not to dominate, but to direct. Not necessarily rule people, but to initiate movement. And it's just that ruling is not how it once looked. The world may not automatically yield to you anymore, but that doesn't mean you've lost your place. It means that you get to create it. And I think that that's way more interesting because you don't need a kingdom to be a catalyst. You don't need a crown to walk with conviction. You're still the one who moves first. And when you do, the rest of us feel it. So that urge that you feel, it's not random. It's not self-indulgent. It's not unrealistic. It's the signal that something new is trying to come through you. The universe, love, source is wanting to move through you, through your physical body, moving formless into form through your body. Oof. And manifestors can often feel the world pressing in with the question of, why can't you just go along with things? And deep down, you're carrying the opposite question of, why are we doing it this way to begin with? You see something that's missing or broken or just out of alignment, and you feel the call to change it, to initiate a new way. And that's what I meant earlier by a peaceful revolution. It's not loud for the sake of being loud or rebellious for the sake of getting people's reaction. It's because you see something the rest of us can't quite name yet. And your job certainly isn't to explain it to death. It's just to do it, to begin it, to initiate it. Some manifestors launch movements or write books, disrupt systems, shift the culture of their family, start a new ritual, build a regenerative garden, or even a channel. Like the system of human design, the founder or channeler of human design, Ra Uru Hu, was a manifestor. There's no one right scale, no single vision of impact. What matters is that the thing gets started, that it moves from the formless into form, that you don't wait for validation to create what you've been asked by life to initiate. When you act from the place of your urge, your movement becomes a portal, and the rest of us can feel it, and we need it. This is what it means to be the beginning. Manifestor, you're the beginning. You are the revolution. So it has to start with you. And of course, I don't want to just talk about what you're here to do. I want to talk about what you require to do it. Your core needs, Manifestor, are freedom, autonomy, and space. And these aren't just nice to haves. Hear me clearly. They're non-negotiables. You're not here to be micromanaged. You're not here to be available 24/7. And you're certainly not here to be talked out of your knowing. If you're a manifestor, I recommend you share this with your loved ones. And if you love a manifestor, please support their vision. In fact, do more than support it. Hold space for the bigness of their vision. Vision hold with them. Believe them when they feel the call. They're not here to half dream. They're not here to be realistic. So they need you to vision hold even when you don't get it. Maybe even if their vision scares you, even if you don't know how it's going to get done or it feels too big. Do not ask them to shrink or justify or soften their edges just to make you more comfortable. And don't take their solitude personally. They're not being distant to punish or exclude you. They're following their rhythm. They have a very lone wolf energy. And it's not a rejection, it's like a reset. The best thing you can do is to respect their space and trust their timing and cheer for their boldness. And when they do let you in, listen deeply. Because when those needs are met, when a manifestor is supported instead of managed, something huge shifts. Here's what alignment can feel like for a manifestor. Firstly, it feels like peace, their signature of alignment. And not because everything is perfect, but because your energy is moving the way it's meant to. You'll know you're aligned when you feel free to move as you are moved, when you act on urges without apology, and when you're met with respect, not resistance. When you don't feel the need to explain or convince, and you move through the world with clarity and calm. And you'll know when you're not, because you'll feel that tension, that shutdown. You'll feel anger rise, and that's your signal. It's not wrong. It's just a call to come home to yourself. Maybe you're not feeling that alignment right now. Maybe you're wondering, what if I don't know what I want to initiate? I don't feel clear. My question for you would be, are you in your head too much? Are you looking outward, trying to find your answer through someone else's formula? Or on the external in any way? Or are you slowing down enough to listen to what's trying to come through you? Because manifestor, you're not here to copy. You're not here to create. You're here to spark something new, and that takes space. It takes stillness. It takes a willingness to feel before you explain. So if you've been shrinking yourself, playing small, trying to be guided by someone else to avoid being too much, or people-pleasing to avoid pushback, I want you to remember this. Your aura is the biggest of all of the energy types. Your energy is felt before you even speak. We know when a manifestor enters the room because we can feel it. So you were never designed to be subtle. No matter what you do or say, your energy is always speaking. You're designed to be real, to take up space, to trust the timing, and to name what's true. So whether you're crystal clear or just starting to feel the ember spark again, this is your reminder. You don't need perfect clarity to begin. Maybe you start small. You say the thing that's been holding you back. You rest when the wave settles. You move when the energy rises. You let the idea come to life, even if it's messy or wild or misunderstood. And you remember that peace is your signal, that freedom is your fuel, and that your voice was never too much. You can never be too much. You were designed to move mountains. So manifestor, please don't play it safe. Take up more space. Speak even if they don't get it yet. Because when you move from your urges, the world shifts around you. Not because you forced it, but because your truth created space for something new. So please let this be your permission to speak, to act, to lead, to initiate, and above all, this is your permission to trust yourself. because you were never meant to wait for the right time. You were designed to begin to create the right time. Manifestor, if you felt something stir today, if the clarity is rising or the fire is flickering back to life, know that you don't have to walk it alone. Whether you're a manifestor ready to realign with your power or someone who loves a manifestor and wants to support them more fully, I'd love to help. You can book a session or explore how we can work together at juliebydesign.com. The link is in the show notes. See you next time.